attention, and focus. Every second you spend scrolling through social media, someone is making money off your time and attention. Now, one fundamental question that needs to be answered is that what exactly are focus and attention and how are they different? Short form content is rewiring your brain. It is training you to expect instant gratification. Now, in a world that is filled with distractions, the ability to engage in deep work, uninterrupted focused work on. Now, it is not just technology that interrupts your focus. People do too. Whether it is a family member, a roommate, or a co-worker, it is important to communicate your focus needs. Politely but firmly let people know that you are unavailable for interruptions at the time being, especially during work hours. Now, whenever I have a smartwatch on, I always make sure that the smartwatch pings me every 45 minutes to move. Studies show that switching between tasks can reduce productivity by up to 40%. In today's world, dopamine is constantly hijacked by short-term rewards. Endless scrolling on 30-second videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and then video games and binge watching shows. Try to spend at least 15 to 30 minutes outside daily. I prefer to walk in the park in the morning. The color green, just the average adult internet user can only focus for 8.25 seconds. Yes, I know, I'm not joking over here. 8.25 seconds. This is the Dr. Wash Trains podcast. My name is Dr. Akash Sehgal. Let's dive in. Welcome to 2025. Hoping that you have had an amazing start to the year. Now, as the celebration has passed away, I think that we need to start reclaiming that one thing that is the closest to us. Our our focus and our attention span. Now, we are living in a time when focus, that precious ability to direct our thoughts, our energy, and our time towards meaningful goals, our relationships, especially, has become harder to achieve than ever before. I want you to think about your day so far. How many times have you checked your cell phone? How often do you catch yourself scrolling mindlessly through Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube without even realizing it? Maybe maybe you sat down to work on a project and an hour later you're stuck in a loop of notifications and random thoughts. Now, I am not over here to blame you. To be honest, I have felt the same as well. I'm here to help you understand why this happens and more importantly, how to fix it. This episode, we will explore the science of attention and focus, why they have become so elusive to us, and what you can do to build mental clarity and reclaim your ability to focus deeply on the things that truly matter. In this episode, we will dive into topics like the psychology behind distraction, how technology has rewired our brains, and of course, actionable strategies to build sustainable focus. We will tackle sleep, willpower, mindfulness, and even the impact of your environment to your ability on staying focused. This is the Dr. Wash Trains podcast. My name is Dr. Akash Sehgal. Let's dive in. Now, in 2025, focus has become a modern superpower. But why? Now, the answer is fairly simple because distraction has never been more prevalent. We live in a world where our attention is the most valuable currency. Every every single application, every website, every platform is competing for your time. But the important thing, they are actually winning. Research shows that the average person checks their phone almost 144 times a day. That is once every 10 minutes. And and we do not just check it. We get pulled into the endless cycles of notifications, messages, and scrolling. This constant fragmentation of our attention does not just impact our productivity, it affects our mental health, our relationships, and even our internalized sense of identity. But but why is this such a big deal? Why does focus matters so much? because because focus is what allows you to do deep, meaningful work. It is what helps you build relationships, achieve your goals, and even enjoy life. Now, when your attention is constantly fractured, you're never fully present in the moment. You're just skimming the surface of everything that you do, and that is a recipe for dissatisfaction. Now, let's talk about why it is actually so hard to stay focused in the first place. Now, the world that we live in today, it uses attention economy. That is because your attention is one of the most valuable commodities in existence. Every time you click on an advertisement, every time you watch a video, every second you spend scrolling through social media, someone is making money off your time and attention. But here is the problem. These platforms, they are not neutral. They are designed to keep you hooked. Algorithms track what you like, what you click on, what makes you pause for just a second longer, and they serve you more of it. They optimize your experience to keep you engaged for as long as possible because your time equals their profit. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is actual business. But the side effect is that we have become addicted to instant gratification. We have we have trained our brains to seek out quick hits of dopamine. The the little burst of pleasure we get when we see a new notification or any funny video. The result, our ability to focus has actually diminished. And it is not just social media. Think about email, think about your teams, your slacks, think about the way your workday is constantly interrupted by notifications and alerts. We are no longer working in long uninterrupted blocks of time. We're working in fragmented bursts, switching between tasks, losing momentum, and never really getting into a state of flow. That is what we're up against in the attention economy. Now, I want to share a story that might sound familiar. Whenever I'm writing for the podcast, I tend to do that a little later in the night so that I do not have distractions around me. When I'm done with my clinic, I'm done with my social engagements, and I'm done with almost all of the chores around the house. But I am almost never done with the script in the stipulated time. Say, for example, I reserve one day for outlining, one day for research, one day for compiling, etc. All the steps of the podcast. Now, none of those tasks get to be done on time because of the distractions I face. I do not have Facebook on my phone. I only have Instagram, but my notifications are turned off. Personally, I do not believe in the short term format of the whole social media circus at all. I believe that long format is king and will always be so. So I tend to shift towards watching full blown hour long videos on YouTube around my interests. Now, although that is happening on a different monitor, trying to use the sound as white noise, but still it is distracting enough to slow me down. Yes, I'm very excited with every article that I read, every point that I read off the internet, every piece of information that I review, but there is a huge problem. Now, the problem is that I tend to check my phone for multiple other sources of gratification while I am tending to work. Sometimes I might open Reddit. Since my notifications for Instagram are off, I might want to check for a reply from a friend, a close friend, or my brother. Or I might want to simply just be lazy and just like that, I end up doing nothing. I end up with finishing only 30 to 40% of the stipulated work, and then I am done with my working hours because at our human core, none of us humans are engineered to multitask. Now, does this sound familiar? Trust me that it is not just me, it's all of us. We have all had moments where we've intended to focus on something important only to get pulled in a dozen different directions because of some distractions that we have put up by ourselves and some that keep on distracting us. Now, the point is that it is not just about work. It can be about your daily activities as well. It happens when we're trying to read a book, spend time with our loved ones, our family, or even just sit quietly with our own thoughts. This this is the struggle I'm here to address. There is no one sock fits all kind of a solution over here, but a very multifaceted, multi-pronged method to tackle the situation. Now, I want you to think about your own life. How many times have you found yourself in this whole cycle of distraction? How often do you feel like you're not fully present in the moment, like your mind is always somewhere else? The good news is that this is not a permanent state. You can retrain your brain to focus better. You can take back control of your attention. We shall explore on exactly how to do that. Now, one fundamental question that needs to be answered is that what exactly are focus and attention and how are they different? This section sets the foundation for everything that we'll discuss in the podcast. It is crucial to understand how your brain directs attention, it sustains focus, and why willpower is the key to mastering both of them. Now, at first glance, the words attention and focus seem interchangeable, but they are absolutely not. Now, think of attention as the brain's ability to notice and take in information. It is the spotlight that shines on what is happening around you. It can be very broad, like when you're scanning a busy street, or narrow, like when you're logged in a conversation with somebody. Focus, on the other hand, is what happens when you deliberately choose to sustain your attention on one thing. Now, it is not just noticing that you're just noticing something. It is holding your mental spotlight, your focus, your mental beam of thoughts steady for an extended period of time onto one particular thing. Now, here is a simple analogy. Attention is like turning on a flashlight, a torch in a dark room. You can shine it in any direction to illuminate what is around you. Now, focus, on the other hand, is the act of keeping that flashlight steady on one object without letting it wander on to something else. But here is where it gets tricky. Our modern world is designed to pull that flashlight in 100 different directions at once. And most of us are not very good at holding it steady. And to be honest, it is not your fault. Now, attention is not a one size fits all concept. There are actually several types of attention, and each plays a different role in how we navigate the world. The first is sustained attention. This is the ability to maintain attention over time. It is what you need when you're working on a complex project, reading a book, or even having a deep conversation. Sustained attention is what most of us think when we talk about focus. Then we have selective attention. Selective attention is the ability to filter out distractions and focus on absolutely what matters. Imagine you are at a party. There is music, there's chatter, clinking glasses all around you, but you are able to focus, to zero in on one single conversation. That is selective attention at work. Then the third one is divided attention. Divided attention is what happens when you try to split your attention between multiple things. This is what we are doing when we multitask. Answering emails while watching a video or scrolling social media while listening to a podcast. And and spoiler alert, divided attention is a myth. We'll talk about it in an absolute moment. Let's talk about willpower, the mental muscle that helps us control our attention and focus. Willpower is what allows you to override distractions and stay on task. It is what helps you resist the urge to check your phone when you're in the middle of a project or to keep going when you feel tired or bored. Here's what's fascinating. Willpower is finite. It is absolutely limited. It is like a battery that depletes throughout the day. Every decision you make, every single distraction you resist, every time you say no to something tempting, you are using a little bit of that battery called willpower. Now, but there is the opposite side to it as well. Willpower is also like a muscle. You can you can strengthen it over time with the right habits. And just like a muscle, it needs rest and recovery to function at its best. One way to conserve willpower is to reduce the number of decisions you make in a day. Now let's tackle one of the biggest myths about focus, multitasking. For years, we were told that multitasking is a productivity superpower. But here is the truth. Your brain is not designed to focus on more than one thing at a time. When you think you're multitasking, what you're actually doing is task switching. Your brain is rapidly jumping back and forth between tasks. And every time it switches, there is a cost of your cognition. Studies show that switching between tasks can reduce productivity by up to 40%. It takes time for your brain to reorient itself to a new task. And in that time, you lose momentum, you make more mistakes, and you feel more mentally fatigued. Think about this. Imagine you're writing an email and your phone buzzes with a notification. You check the notification just for a second and then you go back to the email, but now you have lost your train of thought. You have to backtrack, reread what you wrote earlier in the email and remember where you left off. That tiny distraction for maybe even 5 seconds just cost you a significant amount of mental energy. So, so what is the takeaway over here? If you want to improve your focus, stop multitasking. Instead, practice what is called single tasking, giving your full attention to one task at a particular amount of time. Understanding the difference between attention and focus, the types of attention we use, and the role of willpower in maintaining focus is the first step to reclaiming your mental clarity. Now, we'll explore the science of focus, how your brain works when it is focused, and what happens when it is not. Now, to understand why focus is so difficult to maintain, we need to dive into the science of how your brain handles attention. Focus is not just about willpower. It is shaped by psychological, neurological, and physiological factors. Now, when any of these systems are out of balance, your ability to focus is compromised. Let's explore the key factors that affect focus, starting with your mindset, moving into brain chemistry, and then looking at the body's role in sustaining attention. Talking about the psychological factors that influence focus, and these are the big ones: stress, anxiety, and motivation. When you're stressed, your brain perceives a threat. The, the fight or flight response kicks in, and your body floods with cortisol or the stress hormone. This response is great if you need to outrun a bear, but not so great when you're trying to focus on a presentation or finish a report. Cortisol clouds your thinking. It narrows your attention to the perceived threat, making it harder to focus on anything else. Now, when you're in a chronic state of stress, your ability to stay on task falls down. Talking about anxiety, anxiety is like the twin sibling of stress. While stress is often tied to external triggers, anxiety is an internal dialogue of majorly what if thoughts. That what if this would happen, or what if this would happen? So your mind, it just keeps on wavering in between the what ifs. For example, imagine sitting down to focus on a project, but your mind is running wild with worries. That what if I'm not good enough? What if I miss a deadline? What if this fails? An anxious brain struggles to stay in the present moment. It gets caught up in overthinking, which absolutely kills focus. Now, on the flip side, focus also struggles when you're not stressed or anxious, but simply unmotivated. Motivation is the fuel that drives focus. Without it, your brain does not see the point in sustaining attention. This is why procrastination happens. Your brain finds the task uninteresting or too difficult, so it seeks easier, more rewarding activities like checking your phone or binge watching a show. Now let's move on to the brain's hardware, the neurological side of focus. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter often associated with pleasure, but it also plays a key role in focus. It is the chemical that drives your brain's reward system. When you complete a task, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing that particular behavior. Now, here is the problem. In the modern world, your brain gets flooded with dopamine from quick hits, notifications, likes on social media, shows that are binge worthy, and even cigarettes. Yep, these activities provide instant rewards, whereas deep focus tasks like writing a report or learning a new skill require delayed gratification. Your, your brain has become wired to seek instant dopamine hits, making it harder to stick with tasks that do not provide immediate rewards. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for executive functions, decision making, impulse control, and yes, focus. When you're focused, the prefrontal cortex is in control. But when you're tired, stressed, or overstimulated, it hands over control to more reactive parts of the brain, like the amygdala, which deals with emotions. Like how it is said very nonchalantly and quite insensitively at times, stop being emotional. It can be due to an overstressed prefrontal cortex, which is putting pressure on the amygdala to make those executive functions, which in turn makes a little too many decisions that are emotionally unlike the person who is taking them. This is why it is hard to focus when you're emotionally overwhelmed or physically exhausted. Your brain is not functioning at its optimal levels. For people with ADHD, focus is even more challenging. ADHD is not just about being hyperactive, it is about difficulty regulating attention. People with ADHD often struggle with attention switching. They can hyperfocus on tasks that interest them, but find it almost impossible to stay on tasks that do not provide immediate gratification. This is because their dopamine systems work differently. And there are tests available with a licensed psychologist that can diagnose ADHD. Not any friend who has ADHD, not any test online, only a licensed psychologist. Now, it is not just your brain that affects focus. Your body plays a critical role as well. Let's talk about three major physiological barriers to focus: sleep, nutrition, and fatigue. Now, sleep is essential for cognitive function. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, clears out toxins, and resets itself for the next day. Now, when you don't get enough sleep, your prefrontal cortex, that brain CEO we just talked about, struggles to function. You become more impulsive, less able to filter out distractions, and your attention span shortens significantly. Your brain needs fuel to function, and that fuel comes from the food you eat. If your diet is full of sugar and processed foods, your energy levels they spike and crash, making it harder to maintain focus. On the other hand, a balanced diet rich in healthy fats, protein, and complex carbs provide a steady stream of energy to keep your brain functioning at its best. Talking about the sugar crash, it pushes you to the edge of insanity while leaving you with enough questions about why you end up feeling fatigued. Now, fatigue is not just about being tired, it is a deeper sense of exhaustion that affects your entire body. When you're physically exhausted, your brain diverts energy to keep your body functioning. Focus becomes a very secondary priority. This is why exercise, hydration, and proper rest are essential for top notch mental clarity. Finally, it is important to acknowledge that sometimes focus issues are linked to underlying health conditions. Conditions like hypothyroidism, diabetes, and even chronic pain can impact focus. When your body is dealing with ongoing health issues, your brain's resources are diverted to manage those challenges, leaving less energy for sustained attention. Depression, anxiety disorders, anxiety disorders, and PTSD can also wreak havoc on your focus. When you're depressed, your brain struggles to process information efficiently. Tasks that once felt easy can feel overwhelming. Even listening to this podcast right now can feel overwhelming. Anxiety, on the other hand, keeps your brain in a very hyper-vigilant state, making it hard to settle into a focused, calm mindset. Sometimes even the medications we take to treat these conditions can impact focus. Common side effects of antidepressants, anxiety medications, and painkillers include brain fog, drowsiness, and difficulty concentrating. In in today's world, maintaining focus feels like swimming upstream. Why? Because we live in an environment that is designed to fragment our attention. The digital landscape, work culture, and even our physical surroundings constantly pull us in different directions, making deep focus a very rare commodity. This section explores the modern day triggers of distraction, the forces that hijack our attention. Let's start with the most obvious culprit: digital overload. Think about how many notifications you receive in one day: texts, emails, social media alerts, application updates, calendar reminders. Each ping, each notification is a distraction that demands your attention, pulling you away from whatever you were focused on. I seriously want you to note how many notifications you have had in a day and how many can you avoid. You can do it. It is different on both of the operating systems, Android and iOS, but you can check on how many notifications you have had in one particular day. So I use a smartwatch at times, and it is used for a couple of things: keeping track of my steps, the amount of caffeine I have, and my heart rate. And it is perpetually on silent. Although it is said that having fitness trackers on your hand gives you anxiety over completing targets and incomplete targets, but I try to not let it affect me in the moment. A day of not walking enough does not mean that I cannot walk the required steps the next day, but this requires discipline. Discipline enough to make sure that I have my weekly targets met, and this keeps me off from the bane and boon of our existence: social media. Social media in particular is engineered to keep you hooked. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they use algorithms to deliver content that is tailored to your interests. The goal is to keep you scrolling for as long as possible. The goal is to sell you everything that can be sold via using your attention as leverage. The more time you spend, the more advertisements you will see, the more are the chances of you buying something online, which leads to money being exchanged across the internet over one too many hands to mention in this episode. Within this whole cascade, this process, there is something changing in your brain. Every time you check your phone, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. Over time, your brain starts craving that dopamine hit more and more, making it harder to resist the urge to check your phone. You become addicted to the distraction of dopamine. And then there is multitasking, or rather, the illusion of multitasking. We have been conditioned to think that doing multiple things at once is a sign of productivity, but in reality, it is killing our focus. When you try to juggle tasks, your brain rapidly switches between them, and each switch comes with a cognitive cost. You're not doing more whenever you're multitasking. You're doing less and you're doing it worse. Do not let your bosses tell you any which way. But yes, you're doing it less and you're doing it worse. Now, the rise of short form content. Applications like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts have changed the way we consume information. These, these platforms serve bite sized videos that deliver instant entertainment. You can scroll through dozens of videos in just a few minutes, getting hit after hit of dopamine. The problem: short form content is rewiring your brain. It is training you to expect instant gratification instead of spending time on deep, meaningful tasks. Your brain learns to crave quick wins. The next funny video, the next viral clip, the next meme, the next dopamine hit. This is why people struggle to focus on long form content like books, podcasts, or even a full length movie. Their attention spans have been fragmented by quick, bite sized content. To facilitate that factor in, I guess even YouTube has started to divide videos based on timestamps so that it is easier for people to digest long form content. And and here is the kicker. The shift is not accidental. It is hyper intentional. These platforms are designed to keep you scrolling. The longer you stay on the app, the more ads you see and the more money the platform makes. It is a business model that profits from your distraction. Just like how I mentioned earlier. Now let's shift to the workplace. Work culture has evolved significantly in recent years, especially with the rise of remote work. On the surface, remote work seems like a dream: no commute, more flexibility, the comfort of working from home. But for many, it has become a nightmare of constant distractions and burnouts. Here's why. Number one, endless meetings. Remote work has led to an explosion of virtual meetings. Instead of popping by someone's desk for a quick chat, we schedule meetings for everything. The result: people spend hours in Zoom meetings, leaving little time for focused, deep work in the office. Number two, the always on culture. When you work from home, the boundaries between work and personal life blur. Emails come in at all hours. Your team's notifications, they ping late at night. There is an unspoken expectation that you are always available, which makes it hard to unplug and recharge. Number three, burnout. The combination of endless meetings, blurred boundaries, and digital distractions leads to burnouts. People are mentally exhausted, which makes it even harder to focus. Think about it. How many times have you started your workday with the best intentions, only to finish it feeling like you got nothing done? Your brain is constantly pulled in different directions, and you are never given the space to focus on meaningful work. Finally, let's talk about your physical environment. Your surroundings, they play a huge role in your ability to focus. Noise is one of the biggest environmental distractions, whether it is the sound of traffic outside your window, a neighbor's barking dog, or kids playing in the next room. Background noise can constantly pull your attention away from your work. Even low level noise, like the hum of a TV in the background, can disrupt your concentration. Then we've got clutter. Your physical space affects your mental space. A cluttered desk or a messy room can create a sense of chaos in your mind. Now, when your environment is disorganized, your brain struggles to prioritize tasks and you're more likely to feel overwhelmed. Interruptions, whether they come from a coworker or a family member or your own wandering mind, are one of the biggest killers of focus. Research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. That means every time you get distracted, you lose valuable time and momentum. In a world filled with distractions, reclaiming focus requires very deliberate effort. It is not just about turning off notifications or taking a break from social media. It is about building a system that supports your attention and rewires your brain for sustained concentration. Let's let's talk about practical actionable strategies to help you regain control of your focus. We'll start with mindset shifts, moving on to daily habits, exploring mindfulness practices, and then dive deep into tools and applications that can help you reduce distractions. Now, focus is not just a skill, it is a mindset. The first step to reclaiming focus is understanding that it is a process. You won't go from being easily distracted to laser focused overnight. It takes absolute time, it takes consistency and self awareness. Let's start by addressing a key mindset shift. Focus is a choice. Every time you check your phone or give in to a distraction, you're making a choice. The good news is that you can train your brain to make better choices. But to do that, you need to approach focus with a growth mindset. The first being embracing imperfection. One of the biggest mindset traps is thinking that focus means perfection. If you get distracted, you feel like you have failed, and that mindset can lead to giving up altogether. Instead, embrace imperfection. Accept that distractions will happen, but what matters is how quickly you can bring your attention back to the task at hand. Now, here is where the power of intention comes in. Set an intention before starting any task. Ask yourself, what am I focusing on right now? Why is this important? And how will I handle distractions? When you approach tasks with intention, you're more likely to stay on track. But remember, setting strong intentions also requires a strong willpower. Sometimes it can get taxing. We will talk about it later in the episode when we cover the Pomodoro technique. Now, your daily habits have a huge impact on your ability to focus. By establishing morning and evening routines that support mental clarity, you can set yourself up for success. Now, when you check your phone as soon as you wake up, you start your day in a reactive state. Instead, spend the first 30 minutes of your morning away from your phone. Use this time for a mindful activity, stretching, journaling, or simply drinking your coffee in peace. Try putting your phone on charge in another room at night, or maybe switch to airplane mode before you sleep so that you don't get woken up by a phone call. Trust me, this works wonders to the way you sleep and the way you wake up. Number two, set priorities for the workday straight. Not in bed, not on the phones, not in the car, but when you start your workday. Start your workday by identifying your top three priorities. That what are the most important tasks you need to accomplish. Write them down and focus on those first. Long term and short term goals can also be turned into high and low priority tasks for the day. The third is movement and hydration. See, movement and hydration are key. Exercise boosts blood flow to the brain and improves cognitive function. Even a 10-minute walk in the morning can help you feel more alert and focused. Now, there need to be set routines, especially in the evening. Blue light from screens can interfere with your sleep. Turning off devices at least 30 minutes before bed and opting for calming activities like reading or meditation helps more than you think. End your day by reflecting on what you accomplished. Write down anything that is still on your mind to clear mental clutter. This helps you start the next day with a clean slate. Writing things down at the end of the day can effectively clear your head by reducing stress and aiding in mental clarity. This practice often referred to as keeping a worry journal. Now, a worry journal involves writing down concerns or thoughts typically 1 to 2 hours before bed. It helps to close mental loops, akin to closing tabs on a browser, allowing the brain to relax and improve sleep quality. Studies have shown that such journaling can decrease the time it takes to fall asleep by up to 50%, equating to the effectiveness of some sleep medications. The process of journaling not only helps in emotional release but also in processing thoughts more clearly, promoting self-awareness. This act allows you to see patterns in your thoughts and can transform complex emotions into calmer, more manageable reflections. It can help reduce the magnitude of nighttime rumination, making worries seem less daunting in the morning light. Now, I want to talk about possibly the most underrated yet the most widely available and easily practicable task, mindfulness and meditation. Yes, there are very subtle yet stark differences in between the two. Mindfulness is one of the most effective ways to improve focus. It is a mental practice that involves focusing your attention on the present moment without reacting emotionally or judging what you experience. Simply put, it is noticing what is happening right now without overthinking or reacting. This practice helps us use our brain's energy more effectively by staying aware of what is in front of us. Or it can be explained as paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. It is about being fully engaged in what you're doing while recognizing your thoughts and emotions and accepting them without criticism. Although people often use mindfulness and meditation interchangeably, they are absolutely different. Like I said, mindfulness is the skill of staying present and aware of your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judging them. Meditation is a structured practice that helps you develop mindfulness, often by focusing on things like your breath or body sensations. The difference can be explained like mindfulness helps you handle current stress by keeping you focused on the present, and meditation gives your mind and body deep rest, helping to reduce build up stress from the past. Now, there are different types of meditation, such as mindfulness meditation and transcendental meditation. Mindfulness meditation focuses on observing your breath or thoughts without judgment. Transcendental meditation uses mantras to help calm the mind. Both types of meditation requires time and practice to fully experience their benefits. Meditation as a whole is a broad concept with mindfulness being one specific type of meditation practice. Now, when you practice mindfulness, you train your brain to stay in the present moment, which is the essence of focus. Number one, the power of single tasking. Mindfulness is all about doing one thing at a time with your full attention. Start by practicing single tasking in your daily life. When you're eating, just eat. No phones, no televisions. When you're working, focus on one task at a time. The more you practice single tasking, the more natural it becomes. Try this simple focus meditation. Sit in a comfortable position and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Choose one thing to focus on. Your breath, a mantra or even the flame of a candle. Now when your mind wanders away, gently and slowly bring it back to your point of focus. Trust me, this thing actually works. Technology is often the source of distractions, but it can also be a very powerful ally in your quest for focus. Let's look at some tools and applications that can help you reduce distractions and stay on track. Now there are website and application blockers like Freedom. Freedom blocks distracting websites and applications across all your devices. Then we've got Forest. Forest is an interesting application which encourages focus by growing a virtual tree that withers away if you leave the application. The third is Stay Focused. It is a Chrome extension that limits the time you spend on distracting websites. The second, time management tools. Now, talking about time management tools, we need to talk about the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique involves working for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. Use applications like Focus Keeper or Tide to implement this method. Because the human brain can create an urgency for working for 25 minutes only. The 25-minute blocks of focused effort help decrease the friction of getting started, and the breaks in between help you sustain high levels of focus over long periods of working time. Now, these blocks of work can also be for 90 minutes with 5 to 8 minutes of rest periods. The average adult internet user can only focus for 8.25 seconds. Yes, I know, I'm not joking over here, 8.25 seconds. However, some estimates say that adults can focus for up to 5 to 6 hours. Research suggests that working in short blocks of time with breaks in between can help with focus. The length of time you should work in a block depends on you, but some studies suggest a range of 10 to 52 minutes. The safe average is 25 minutes, but then it can always be personalized. You can use Notion or Evernote to organize tasks, track progress, and reduce mental clutter. Some can be done with a native calendar application. And I have it synced across all of my devices because it helps me create a sense of urgency in my endeavors. Then we've got noise cancelling headphones. Investing in a good pair of noise cancelling headphones can help you block out a lot of distractions. I use the Sony XM4s to work. Even if I'm not listening to music, to just cancel out the noise around me. Now, white noise applications like Noisely or Calm, they provide background noise that can help you concentrate. Even if you don't want applications, you can always hop onto YouTube and search for white noise. And trust me, sometimes having a white noise works. Reclaiming focus is not just about eliminating distractions, it is also about building a system that supports sustained attention. By adopting the right mindset, establishing focus friendly routines, practicing mindfulness, and using technology to your advantage, you can regain control of your attention to achieve more with less mental fatigue. Now, focus is not just about minimizing distractions or using the right tools, it is also about strengthening your willpower. Willpower acts as the mental muscle that allows you to resist distractions, stay on task, and push through difficult moments. But like any muscle, willpower can be depleted. Willpower is more than just self control. It is a limited resource that your brain uses to regulate behavior, resist impulses, and maintain focus on long term goals. Psychologically, willpower is tied to executive function, which is controlled by the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain helps you make decisions, manage emotions, and prioritize tasks. But here is the catch, your brain's capacity for willpower is finite. The more decisions you make and the more impulses you resist, the more your willpower gets depleted. Now, one of the most famous studies on willpower is the Stanford marshmallow experiment. In the 1970s, researchers tested children's ability to delay gratification. The kids who resisted eating a marshmallow in front of them and waited for a second marshmallow later showed higher levels of success in life. What this study tells us is that willpower is not just about resisting temptation in the moment, it is about having the ability to focus on long term rewards instead of immediate gratification. Now, from a neurological perspective, willpower is influenced by dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and reward. When you're faced with a distraction, like a notification on your cell phone, your brain releases dopamine, encouraging you to check it. Willpower is what helps you resist that immediate reward and stay focused on your current task. But if your brain's dopamine system is overstimulated by constant distractions, your willpower gets depleted faster. One of the biggest drains on willpower is decision fatigue. Every decision you make, no matter how small, uses up mental energy. The more decisions you make throughout the day, the less willpower you have left for important tasks. This is why leaders like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, so many others, they famously wear the same outfits every single day to reduce decision fatigue. By eliminating small and unnecessary choices, they conserve their mental energy for bigger decisions. To reduce decision fatigue, there are simple but effective techniques that can be implemented. Number one, you need to simplify your morning routine. Try making small decisions the night before. Choose your clothes, plan your meals, and set your priorities for the day so you're not using precious willpower first thing in the morning. Use tools and systems to automate routine decisions. For example, use meal planning applications, automate your bill payments, and set recurring reminders for daily tasks. For example, you can set alarms for your multivitamin tablets on a daily basis so that you have less to remember. And of course, it can be done for a lot of other things. Now, I have an hourly reminder set on my watch so that it gives me a beep whenever, the hour changes so that I know, all right, it kicks me into action. That I might be lagging up on things, I might be lagging up, but now I need to get started. Number three, establish habits and rituals. Like habits reduce the need for decision making. When something becomes automatic, it no longer drains your willpower. Build daily routines that support your focus so you don't have to think about what to do next. Now, willpower is not fixed. It can be replenished and strengthened with the right practices. There are some simple ways to boost your willpower reserves throughout the day. The most important and prime way to fix your willpower is to fix your sleep cycle. Yep. So I told you, right, that it beeps. This is it beeping. The most important and prime way to fix your willpower is to fix your sleep cycle. Sleep deprivation significantly reduces willpower. It has a direct impact on the connection between your prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for rational thought and decision making, while the amygdala is involved in emotional responses and survival instincts. When you're sleep deprived, the connectivity between these two regions weaken, which leads to increased emotional reactivity and impulsivity. Normally, the prefrontal cortex is able to exert control over the amygdala, regulating emotions. However, sleep deprivation disrupts this connection, causing the amygdala to become overly active, resulting in heightened emotional responses and difficulty managing feelings. Moreover, sleep deprivation can lead to an increase in the activity of the amygdala, exacerbating emotional instability. This imbalance often manifests as irritability and increased stress sensitivity, making it difficult to maintain composure and rationality in stressful situations. Therefore, adequate sleep is crucial for maintaining the functional balance between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, which is essential for emotional regulation and decision making. This means that your willpower takes a solid hit and your decision making gets a little impractical. Little being relative to the amount of lack of willpower. Getting 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep each night is one of the best ways to maintain your willpower throughout the day. Now, exercise is not just good for your body, it is essential for your brain. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, improving your ability to manage impulses and sustain focus. And you do not need to spend hours at the gym unless you have a very specific physical goal to complete. Even a 10-minute walk can give your brain the mental clarity and willpower it needs. Now, undoubtedly, one of the most effective ways to replenish willpower is to take breaks. The Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break, is a great way to balance focused work and recovery. I have had a very love hate relationship with binaural beats, and recently I discovered a channel on YouTube called Jody Hayton. Jody has a 25-minute Pomodoro timer with binaural beats to allow you to focus on work. Yes, it has worked for me, but sometimes it is just a little too much brain power at once. We will talk about binaural beats in a while. Now, another strategy is decision free breaks. Take a moment to breathe, stretch, or go out for a walk without making any decisions or checking your phone. Trust me, it absolutely works. Now, willpower alone is not enough to sustain focus. You also need motivation and a system of rewards to keep it going. Intrinsic motivation and external rewards. No external motivation because we are trying to be a little independent. Now, intrinsic motivation comes from within. It is the drive to do something because it is personally meaningful. When you're intrinsically motivated, you rely less on willpower because you're genuinely interested in the task at hand. To tap into intrinsic motivation, ask yourself, why is this task important to me? How does it align with my goals and values? Finding personal meaning in your work makes it easier to stay focused without relying solely on willpower. There is a lot of rewiring involved of your reward system, but more about it in probably another episode. Now, external rewards like treating yourself to a coffee or taking a break after completing a task can boost your motivation. But there's a caveat. You do not want to rely too heavily on external rewards, or you risk turning focus into a transactional activity. Now, here's a practical tip. Use small rewards to reinforce positive behavior. For example, after completing a focused work session, give yourself a short break or listen to your favorite song. Over time, your brain will start associating focus with positive outcomes. See, enhancing willpower is about more than just resisting distractions. It is about managing your mental energy, reducing decision fatigue, and tapping into your motivation. By incorporating these practices into your daily life, you can strengthen your willpower and sustain focus even in a world full of distractions. Now, focus is not just about what is happening in your mind, it is also influenced by your environment. The spaces we live and work in play a hyper crucial role in shaping our ability to concentrate. Your surroundings can either support your focus or actively undermine it by introducing distractions and mental clutter. Let's explore how to create focus friendly environments by decluttering your physical and digital spaces, setting boundaries, and optimizing your surroundings for sustained attention. Now, the state of your physical environment has a direct impact on your mental clarity. A cluttered desk often leads to a cluttered mind. Research shows that clutter on your desk competes for your brain's attention with the work that you are doing, creating cognitive overload. When your brain is constantly processing background distractions, a, a messy desk, piles of paper, or random objects, it has less capacity to focus on the task at hand. Yes, Einstein's desk was cluttered. So were a lot of people's desks who were geniuses. Trust me, even if your IQ tests reveal a score of 140 or more, having rock strong focus where you can mentally visualize the universe is a totally different story. Here's how to get started with a clutter free workspace. Remove everything except for the essentials: your computer, a notebook, and a pen. If you think there is anything that you will need in the first 15 minutes of your work, then it can be on the desk. If not, then keep it below your desk on a mini table or the carpet. Out of sight but within reach. For example, bind the files with other documents that you might need. Then, organization is key. Use drawers, trays, and organizers to keep your workspace tidy. Adapt a one in, one out rule. For every new item you bring into your workspace, remove one item to maintain balance. Now, decluttering is not a one time task. Schedule regular reset sessions to keep your environment clean and conducive to focus. For example, every time you sit and study, reach an hour early and clear up the mess on the table. Sort everything, organizing the table according to what the day demands and needs. Now, it is not just your physical space that needs decluttering. Your digital environment matters too. The applications, the notifications, and the open tabs on your devices, they create digital clutter that saps your mental energy. Every time you receive a notification or switch between open tabs, your brain has to reorient itself. This constant context switching drains your cognitive resources and reduces your overall productivity. Now, here is how to create a minimalist digital environment. Number one, close unnecessary tabs. Limit yourself to 3 to 5 open tabs at a time on your desktop. If you think you need more tabs, open another window of your internet browser. Number two, unsubscribe from emails. Reduce inbox clutter by unsubscribing from newsletters you do not read. Have Have weekly inbox clearing sessions where you remove all the unread emails and figuring out the spam in your inbox. Takes 20 to 30 minutes, but makes your life easier in the long run. Number three, organize your desktop. By keeping your desktop screen clean with only essential files and folders. Number four, use do not disturb mode. Silencing notifications during focus sessions to avoid interruptions goes a very long way. The amount of distractions you will end up saving yourself from is absolutely maddening. Now, one of the biggest challenges to focus is interruptions. Whether it is a buzzing phone, your Google Teams, or a Slack message, Discord, or just a colleague dropping by for a quick chat, interruptions break your flow and make it harder to regain focus. Establishing boundaries is key to protecting your attention. Turning off non essential notifications is a boon, especially through work hours. Go through your phone and disable notifications from applications that are not critical. Your dating applications, your parking applications, daily news, your social media applications, and all that you think are necessary to turn off. Now, it is not just technology that interrupts your focus. People do too. Whether it is a family member, a roommate, or a co-worker, it is important to communicate your focus needs. Politely but firmly let people know that you are unavailable for interruptions at the time being, especially during work hours. The sensory environment you work can significantly impact your ability to concentrate. Factors like lighting, sound, and ergonomics play a huge role in maintaining focus. Lighting affects both your mood and your ability to focus. Exposure to natural light improves mood and productivity. If possible, set up your workspace near a window. Otherwise, there is always warm colored lighting. Now, task lighting provides increased light for specific tasks in a room that may already have some ambient light. Now, using desk lamps with adjustable brightness to reduce eye strain helps to focus on your work a little better. Always make sure that the lights you use can be adjusted in both intensity and color. Harsh fluorescent lights can cause headaches and fatigue. For example, let me give you an example of how things work over here. This reduces my overall lighting over here to 25% of what it is. And here I am going warmer. Now this is completely yellow. Here I am at 100% yellow. This this yellow lighting over here, it helps me stabilize my mood way better than anything else. Like if I know that my mood needs to be stabilized, I will switch over to this as soon as I can. And yep, it works like a charm. And I know sometimes money is a concern. Not everyone has the budget to invest in something like this. Yellow fluorescent lamps are your best bet in conditions where, for example, your room. If you do not have any extra holder for a light bulb or even for a fluorescent light, invest in a dedicated desk lamp with a yellow colored bulb with a proper yellow hue to it. Trust me, wonders, absolutely wonders. It'll change each and every single thing about your personality. Next, we got to talk about sound. Auditory hygiene is also important. Noise is one of the most common environmental distractions, and you need to be mindful about it. From from telephone rings to the click of a pencil, having noise canceling headphones, not earphones, but headphones, is a must at times. Especially if your work environment allows them. Trust me, you will be doing yourself a favor. In between patients, me personally, I tend to just go to my dressing room and just sit peacefully with absolutely nothing playing in my headphones, but them being turned on noise cancellation. Like I've told you before, there are applications that can help you with white noise. And white noise can help mask distracting sounds. Then we have also talked about applications that provide white noise, which can help mask distracting sounds. You can also use other videos that are available on YouTube that provide white noise. Now, because the basic necessity is to drown out distracting sounds using something that does not distract you or engage your brain in executive decisions like comprehension. I'm going to be reiterating this point for the third time now that investing in noise canceling headphones can block out background noise. No matter, absolutely no matter how many times I might stress on it, it will be less. They are an absolute must, even if not for work or focus, even just for general introspection. Now, some people find that listening to instrumental music or nature sounds helps improve focus. Experiment to see what works best for you, and it is absolutely all right if you do not. Like, like I listen to music when I'm doing executive tasks, whereas my sister does not. Then your physical comfort affects your mental performance. Poor posture, an uncomfortable chair, or an improperly positioned computer monitor can lead to physical discomfort, which distracts you from work. Investing in a good chair is very important. An ergonomic chair that supports your back and promotes good posture can make a huge difference. Now, the top of your monitor should be at eye level to reduce neck strain. Because if the monitor, if whatever monitor you're using, if the top of it is over here, trust me, you will end up with brutal neck pain. If it is like 2 feet above your eye level, the top of your monitor should always and always be at eye level. If you can, if you have the space for it, use a standing desk. Alternating between sitting and standing can improve energy levels and your focus levels as well. Now the whole triangle that needs to be formed while working is for real. People let go of it thinking that it does not mean much, but it can actually weaken your muscles in and around the back, the neck, your legs, your core, and absolutely whatnot. So yes, it is important to have the whole triangle over here in check. For example, you need to sit up straight with your shoulders relaxed. Then you need to keep your back slightly arched, like it should not be like this. You should not be hunching over, but like a slight relaxed curve in your back is fine. Then you need to keep your head and shoulders level and forward facing, like not like this. Like you should not be bending your neck or stretching it, but just like a little bit like this. I think a slight 10 to 15 degree incline of your neck should be fine enough. If that is fine with you, otherwise you can completely keep it in check with the natural curvatures of the spine of how the neck is curving in relationship to the shoulders. Then you got to keep your knees bent at a 90-degree angle and your feet should fall flat on the floor. Then your arms should always be parallel to the floor and keep your elbows at your side. They should not be over here. They should not be like pulled behind you. They should always be by your torso. Then the monitor that you use, it should almost be at like an arm's length away. And the top of the monitor, again, like I've stressed on it enough, should almost be at eye level. A little lower works, but not above eye level. Then your desk again needs to be set up at the right height, and then you should have enough space to cross over your legs below the desk. And if you think so that you need extra support, get a footrest. They're cheap, they work, they go for a very long time. And yep, you can also consider an adjustable desk, by the way. And whenever I wear a smartwatch, for example, currently right now I'm not, and I'm not no watch aficionado, but I like to wear an analog one more than any smartwatch. Now, whenever I have a smartwatch on, I always make sure that the smartwatch pings me every 45 minutes to move. Now, these reminders, they can also be done mentally. These are very necessary to keep your back and your neck straight and your elbows squared. Trust me, it is just another reminder for you to get your posture back correct. Now, there is so much technology that we're surrounded with. We can always set up reminders, we can always set up alarms, not just for waking up, but also for each and every single hour that you're awake. Like, I have got alarms not on my phones, but on my watch that it'll ping me every single hour to ensure that that I know the time, whatever it is. Whenever I'm working, whenever I have a smartwatch on, I make sure that it pings me once every 45 minutes, I believe, so that the reminder is just to, like, get my back straight, get my neck straight, look up for a while, and just relax. Now, creating focus friendly environments is not just about eliminating distractions. It is about designing spaces that support sustained attention. Like, I tend to use technology a little too much, and it helps me. So, for you, it can be by decluttering your physical and digital spaces, setting boundaries with people, and optimizing your sensory factors. Like, for example, how I showed you about lighting, and then how much I emphasize over sound. You can create an environment that makes deep focus a natural state and absolutely not a constant struggle in between your willpower and the distractions that you have in life. Now, while short term hacks can help regain focus in the moment, achieving sustained long term focus requires deeper changes to your mindset, habits, and lifestyle. Building the ability to concentrate over longer periods involves cultivating resilience, training the brain, and creating supportive environments that reinforce focused behavior. Now, in a world that is filled with distractions, the ability to engage in deep work, uninterrupted focused work on cognitively demanding tasks is increasingly rare and valuable. Coined by productivity expert Cal Newport, deep work involves cutting out distractions to produce high quality work efficiently. Now, there are three types of work: deep work, shallow work, and fake work. Deep work are tasks that require intense focus and push your cognitive abilities to the limits. For example, writing a report, learning a new skill. For me, it would be working on a patient, writing a script, executing it. Shallow work comprises of tasks that are more administrative and do not require deep concentration. For example, answering emails, or for me, scheduling these videos. Then there is fake work. Fake work is busy work that feels productive but does not contribute to meaningful outcomes, or like obsessively organizing your inbox. For me, it can be going on Reddit maybe. Now, one of the biggest barriers to focus is that many people spend most of their day doing shallow or fake work, leaving little time for deep work. Now, whenever we talk about strategies to cultivate deep work, we need to be mindful about time blocking, scheduling blocks of time dedicated to deep work, and treating those time blocks as absolutely non negotiable. There should be absolute rituals for initiating focus. Create personalized rituals to signal to your brain that it is time for deep work. For example, whenever I enter into this space where I record my videos, I light a candle and put on some music that charges me up. On some days it is rock, some days it is hip hop, some days it is Hindustani classical. It is all very in the moment. Now, elimination of distractions is very important. It can be easily done when online using tools like Focusmate or Freedom, which block distracting applications and websites during deep work sessions. If you have your own brand of application, use that. Now, start with short deep work sessions, 30 minutes, and gradually increase the duration. Over time, your brain will adapt to sustained periods of focus. It is not an overnight process. It is not even something that you might be able to gauge in 1 week, but trust me, you will be able to gauge it slowly and steadily. Now, these distractions, they are not going to go away. To maintain focus in the long term, you need to build mental resilience. the ability to resist distractions and return to the task at hand quickly when your attention wavers. One way to develop resilience is by practicing delayed gratification, the ability to resist immediate rewards in favor of long term goals. For example, instead of checking your phone every single time a notification pops up, wait until you've finished the task before looking at your messages. This strengthens your brain's ability to resist distractions on a very basic level. Now, no one can maintain a perfect focus all the time. The key is to recover quickly when your attention slips. Focus recovery should be practiced. For example, step one, recognize the distraction. Notice when your mind starts to wander. Step two, redirect your attention. Gently bring your focus back to the task without judgment. Step three, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation can improve your ability to notice distractions and return to the present moment. Use the 5-second rule. When you feel the urge to check your phone or switch tasks, count to 5 before acting. This pause often gives you enough time to reconsider and stay on task. Unless and until it is your mother calling, please pick up her call. Now, focus is not a static skill. It can be strengthened through continuous learning and brain training. Just like physical exercise improves your muscles, mental exercises can improve your brain's ability to concentrate. Your brain is neuroplastic. It changes and adapts based on how you use it. By regularly engaging in mentally challenging tasks, you can improve your focus and cognitive abilities over time. Challenge yourself to read books or articles that require deep concentration. Apps like Lumosity and Peak offer brain training games that improve attention and memory. Then create visual mind maps to organize your thoughts and improve your ability to focus on complex ideas. Print print those ideas on a piece of paper, write them down, note them down so that at the end of the day it gets easier for you to talk about them. It gets easier for you to remember them. And and it also, to be really honest with you, improves imagination. Then, continuous learning keeps your brain active and engaged. Make a habit of learning something new every day, whether it is a new skill, a language, or a creative hobby. Lifelong learners are better at maintaining focus because they constantly challenge their brains. Now, focus is often seen as a solitary endeavor, but social support can play a huge role in maintaining long term attention. By leveraging accountability partners and joining focus oriented communities, you can stay motivated and committed to your goals. Now, an accountability partner is someone who checks in with you regularly to ensure you are staying on track. Knowing that someone else is monitoring your progress can provide an extra layer of motivation to stay focused. Find someone with similar goals and schedule weekly check ins. Use tools like FocusMate, which pairs you with a virtual accountability partner for focus sessions. And, and share your progress and challenges to stay focused. For example, me and my friends, we sometimes tend to sit in coffee shops, and we do that quite a lot. And all of us are designated um, buddies for each other. We make sure that the person in front of us keeps on working while they do that, vice versa. And our productivity for almost like 7 hours stays almost by the end of those 7 hours, it would almost be the same as how it was when we started. Because we have somebody who's keeping a check on us when we're working, how many breaks we're taking. And also, to be honest, it also creates a very fine-tuned sense of how do I put it? Light-hearted rivalry, where all of us are like, no, I finished my work first, better than yours, or anything like that. Something like this will always end up yielding conflict, but at the very same time, you need to know with whom you're sitting. If your friends are tight, if you're tight with your friends, why not? If you're not, well, you need better friends. Online and in person focus communities can offer valuable support and advice. Surrounding yourself with like minded individuals who are also working to improve their focus can keep you inspired and accountable. There are Reddit groups like Deep Work or Get Disciplined. These groups, they help you Team up, they also help you with advice. And of course, I mean, I will suggest you to go ahead and utilize these groups as much as you can. There are way too many online forums, and there are also local meetups for co working and accountability. Now, long term focus is a skill that requires continuous practice and lifestyle adjustments. By mastering deep work, building resilience, and engaging in brain training, you can make focus a permanent part of your life. Now, there is a lot that is involved in sorting out the focus muscle. We have talked about a lot of external and not a lot of internal mechanisms. Now, let us start with this bold idea. Your ability to focus is not just a mental exercise, it is deeply tied to your brain chemistry. The levels of neurotransmitters and hormones like dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, and adrenaline dictate not only your attention span, but also your motivation, mood, and stress response. Now, without understanding these biological drivers, most focus strategies are like trying to fix a car without knowing how the engine works, or rather, where the engine actually is. Let's break down the science and connect it to practical solutions, including a dopamine detox, stress management techniques, and the philosophy of balance in a fast paced, dopamine saturated world. Now, dopamine is not just a feel good chemical. It is more accurately described as the chemical of motivation and drive. Without dopamine, we lose the desire to pursue goals, even basic survival tasks like finding food. Now, in a very famous experiment, researchers removed the ability of rats to produce dopamine. The result, the rats stopped seeking even food. Even if it was placed just inches away, they lost all motivation to engage in behaviors essential for survival. Now, humans as well experience this effect. When dopamine levels drop, apathy, procrastination, and lack of focus take over. On the flip side, an overstimulated dopamine system leads to impulsivity, distraction, and addiction to instant rewards. In today's world, dopamine is constantly hijacked by short-term rewards, endless scrolling on 30-second videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and then video games and binge watching shows. These activities provide quick dopamine hits, but they come at a cost. They train your brain to crave instant gratification, making it harder to focus on long-term goals. They reduce your ability to enjoy slow reward activities like reading, problem solving, or creative work. Now, everyone talks about a dopamine detox, but what is a dopamine detox? A dopamine detox is a practice of reducing your exposure to instant gratification activities to basically reset your brain's reward system. The goal is to rewire your brain to find joy and satisfaction in long-term pursuits. Now, how to do a dopamine detox? Step one, identify your triggers. What activities give you quick dopamine hits? Common triggers include social media, binge watching, online shopping, and junk food. Step two, set boundaries for digital use. Limit your screen time. Use applications like screen time or focus mode to control your usage. Step 3, engage in slow reward activities. Replace activities that provide instant gratification with deep work, as we had discussed earlier. Exercise, journaling, or creative hobbies. Then, step 4, embrace your boredom. Allow yourself to feel bored without reaching for your phone. This helps your brain reset its dopamine response. I shall cover the philosophy behind it in a while. Now, one critical point from research is that dopamine is essential for intrinsic motivation, the drive to pursue a goal for its own sake. When your dopamine system is hijacked by external rewards, your intrinsic motivation diminishes. You become dependent on the external stimuli to feel motivated. The practical solution is to rebuild intrinsic motivation. You have to learn to celebrate small victories in your work. You got to focus on the joy of the process and not the final outcome. But the best is to set long term goals, the achievement of which will give you a deeper sense of purpose. Now, while dopamine drives you to chase rewards, serotonin helps you feel content and balanced. It plays a key role in mood regulation, emotional stability, and social behavior. Lower serotonin is linked to depression, anxiety, and difficulty concentrating. Low serotonin has become a modern problem. Many of us have low serotonin due to poor sleep, lack of physical activity, and social isolation. Social isolation does not mean online networks, it also means having solid offline conversations and relationships. Now, you should know how to boost serotonin naturally. The first being exposure to sunlight, which is hyper crucial. Try to spend at least 15 to 30 minutes outside daily. I prefer to walk in the park in the morning. The color green just pushes my brain into work mode. It calms me down and allows me to work better. Maybe for me that is work mode. Then physical activity increases serotonin production. And there has been research into journaling, listing things, writing them down, things that you are grateful for. All of it can boost serotonin, be it in 7 days, 10 days, or 14. It works. Now, serotonin is about satisfaction in the present moment. In a world obsessed with what's next, we need to learn to find joy in what we already have. Now, cortisol and adrenaline are essential for handling stress. But when you're constantly stressed, your brain is stuck in flight or fight mode, impairing your ability to focus. In a in a chronic stress state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus, shuts down, making you more impulsive and easily distracted. Learning how to manage stress is vital to focus better. Mindfulness meditation has proven to lower cortisol levels. Breathing exercises like the 478 breathing has been noted to calm your nervous system. Regular breaks, like the Pomodoro technique, are helpful to prevent burnout. Now, might be philosophy, but it is true. The mind works best when it is at rest. When you calm the storm of stress, focus flows naturally. Shifting focus to the philosophical side of focus, our dopamine driven society has conditioned us to fear boredom and solitude. But these states are essential for mental clarity. In the 21st century, boredom is seen as something to be avoided. But in reality, boredom is where creativity and problem solving happen. When you're bored, your brain enters the default mode network, a mental state where ideas form and connections between concepts emerge. We can talk about some practical tips over here. For for starters, scheduling an unstructured time block in your day is vital. 45 minutes of doing nothing. No internet, no social connect. Just old school style of passing time. Get a jigsaw, play chess by yourself, read something without any network connection. Or or go on a boredom walk. Without your phone to let your mind wander. Think less, walk more. But there is a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is feeling disconnected. Solitude is choosing to be alone to connect with yourself. In solitude, we gain mental clarity, emotional balance, and creative breakthroughs happen. Try a daily solitude session. 30 minutes of quiet reflection without any digital distractions, which you can add within the unstructured time block. Now, achieving better focus is not just about understanding the science of neurotransmitters and hormones. It is also about embracing boredom, solitude, and the art of slowing down in today's fast paced world. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, those who master dopamine regulation, stress management, and solitude will be the ones who thrive. Focus is more than a skill, it is an absolute way of life. In the end, it is not just about understanding the causes of distraction and how to regain focus. It is about making lasting changes that help you live a more present, productive, and intentional life. Before we end, let me leave you with this thought. In a world that constantly pulls us in different directions, the ability to focus is a superpower. But it is not a superpower you're born with. It is one you cultivate through intention, discipline, and self awareness. Every small step you take towards improving your focus brings you closer to a more purposeful and meaningful life. Remember, focus is not perfection, it is progress. And it is okay to be distracted sometimes, as long as you know how to return to your center. Start small, stay consistent, and celebrate every win. The world will keep evolving, throwing new distractions your way. But with the right mindset and tools, you can stay grounded, focused, and present. Now that you've learned how to regain your focus, it is time to take action. Remember, this journey is not about achieving perfection, it is about making progress every day. Start small, stay consistent, and watch how your life transforms. Thank you for joining me on this journey to reclaim your focus in 2025. Your most productive, intentional, and fulfilling life starts now. See you next time, and until then, stay focused.